Hello and welcome to episode 240 of the Ram Nintendo Podcast. I'm Jason.
I'm Angel.
Ow! I'm Kevin.
Kevin, are you okay?
No. Ow. I'm actually
What'd you
bleeding.
just do?
All right, hold on. I'll be right back. Keep it rolling.
All right, well, he's Kevin. He bleeds out. I'll tell you guys about what's in store for this episode. We're calling this episode Heck of a Time in honor of a game that Kevin, when he gets back from bleeding out, will be telling us about, which is his full impressions of what's shaping up to be one of the must-play indie games of the year, it sounds like, Hades. We heard a little bit last episode. He's going to dive deeper this episode. But that title also kind of works to explain how navigating this whole episode will go. Because, usually, I guess I'm only talking to Angel here at the moment because Kevin's bleeding out. But Angel, as you know...
What do you mean? You're talking to our audience.
But usually, Angel, as you know, we do games and then we do news. What we're playing and then news, right? This time not so much.
Maybe
yeah, we used to do news and then games. Then we did games and then news.
For some reason, that's what I think of as normal. And these last few episodes, I always think like, oh, I guess we're doing games first.
Yeah, it's ever since COVID.
That's literally what I tell myself every single time, even if it's, I guess, become the norm. Well,
ever since COVID, I think we flipped it because for a while there was not a news cycle. So we just did the games first, and I think it just kind of stuck. But the funny thing is, after all that, that's not what this episode is. It's kind of all over the place. We have impressions of Steve in Smash Bros. Ultimate, hands-on with the upcoming Kingdom Hearts Memory of Melody, impressions of Spellbreak, and a broader look at kind of the current free-to-play scene on Switch. We've got that snazzy new Fire Emblem anniversary announcement. We got September MPD's numbers. It's a whole bunch of stuff that really, I guess we're just going to let the, winds of conversation, is that phrase, guide us through. So what I'm saying is every time I say winds of conversation, that would have, you're right. Well, anyway, what I'm saying is now more than ever, those timestamps on the blog post around Nintendo.com, those are probably pretty useful because it's not going to make any sense how this goes. So just strap in or use the timestamps. But we might as well start with the one clearly defined topic we do have, which is our episode's namesake, which is Hades. And Kevin, you gave us, like I was saying while you were away from the mic, you gave us the initial first pass last episode. But now that you've had time to sort of sink your teeth into it, how's it holding up? What do you think of it?
Okay,
in its, final form.
Let's just say, all right. So technically, you still haven't played this on the Switch because cross save still hasn't been implemented.
Fair,
but
we're talking about the gameplay more than performance.
Yeah,
okay.
but at this point, I'm just going to talk to you, the listener. And I'm going to give this game my wholehearted blessing because unless there are some crippling technical issues, which I don't think there is on the Switch, I don't really think that there's anything that would deter me from recommending this game. Last episode, I said that this was the front runner for my favorite game of the year, and I remember Final Fantasy VII Remake being at the top of the list. This not only knocked that game off the top, but it's also, and I know it just began, but it's.
I mean, it's not a very high bar, though. I'm just kidding.
It's.
I haven't played it, so I can't say anything.
Yeah. But
that terse. Yeah.
I know.
I completely zero that train.
I know that it just began, but this game is a front runner for my game of the decade.
Wow.
I love this game.
Ooh, now I'm afraid it's getting hyped too much. I have heard incredible things about it. Not
Kevin, would you say you're having...
that it's great, but damn.
Would you say you're having a heck of a time with it?
I'm having a hell of a time with it.
That really just blows up our title. Yeah.
More than just a heck of a time.
More than just heck.
I listened back to what I said about the game on the last episode, and even though they were just my initial impressions, man, I did this game a huge disservice by my initial impressions, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
What? So what's different?
I just running through it. I didn't really explain what kind of game it was. I literally just said I'm pretty sure I literally just said that it was a roguelike. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no. But to make up for my huge disservice, I'm just gonna go back from the beginning. Literally let everybody know what this game's about. So Hades is a roguelite, basically meaning that it has the trappings of a roguelike, but without the permadeath. So it's an isometric role-playing game from Supergiant Games, who they also developed Bastion and Transistor, both of them available on the Switch now. Those are also indie darlings of the isometric perspective. But so in this game, you take the role of Zagreus, or Zag for short, as many characters in this game refer to him as. And Zag is the son of Hades, which from now on, I will refer to him as the H-Man, because Hades is also the name of the underworld, and that is going to get really confusing if I say Hades the dad and Hades the place. So
H-Man.
So the H-Man, yeah, the big H, is going to be Zag's dad. So he's the son of Hades, and Zag hates the H-Man. So each quote-unquote run that you do in this game is exactly that. It's Zagreus running away from home. So you are battling your way through the underworld to get to Mount Olympus. You're fighting monsters, witches, skeletons, warriors of the underworld, that sort of stuff. And you are using one of 6 unlockable weapons. This might get just like the teensiest of like spoilery. So, but right from the beginning, you know that there's going to be 6 weapons unlocked, so it's not big of a deal. So each weapon has like a normal attack, a special attack, and you as Zagreus, you also have a dash and a projectile that you can cast. Before you go into a room, like the encounter rooms, you'll actually see the reward that you'll get once you complete that encounter. And the rewards range from power-ups, upgrades, monies, collectibles, that sort of stuff. Where the depth in the combat lies is in the power-ups and the upgrades that you gather along your trek. So the most common power-ups that you get are boons, which are like power-ups given to you by the gods from Mount Olympus. And like I said in the last episode, they're like the very recognizable Greek gods. So you have Ares, god of war, Poseidon, god of the seas, Artemis, which is the god of... I don't even remember anymore. Angel. Did Artemis show up in...
or something?
Yeah, goddess of the hunt. You're right. And then like Aphrodite, goddess of love. So when you are granted a boon, you get to choose between 3 upgrades that will either slot into like your normal, your special attack, your dash, or your projectile. So that's how you build Zagreus along these runs. You're mixing and matching these boons from like different gods, just to your liking. Like one of my favorite boons is the one that you get from Poseidon, which whenever you dash, you unleash a wave of water that will inflict damage to your surrounding enemies, but will also push them back. And there is like wall bouncing in this game. If you knock an enemy hard enough, they will fly back into a wall and take damage from that. Another favorite of mine is from Demeter, who is the goddess of seasons, who will inflict like a freeze effect, like a slow effect on enemies for every normal attack that you do. But like where the magic of the game lies is that there's an insurmountable ways to build your Zag, in which like there will be runs where I don't upgrade my normal attack, my special attack, or my projectile, and I will focus all my power-ups, all the items that I buy, to focus on like my dash ability, to the point where I won't even have to use my weapon against any enemies, because my dash ability, like especially with that Poseidon boon that I was talking about, will do so much damage and so much knockback damage that I could just dash into a high level HP enemy once or twice and just completely like destroy them. There'll be some times where there'll be a run where I won't even get a dash boon, and I'll just focus on my normal and special attacks. There's so many ways to customize your Zagreus on a run-to-run basis, and like I have yet to come across a build that I make that won't get me to the final boss, because the game gives you just enough power-ups and upgrades that virtually any build can work to get you to quote-unquote beat the game. That's only like half of the game. Where the game gets more interesting is on the other half, which is when you die, and you will die a lot in this game, you are sent back to Hades, the underworld. So we got to make sure everybody's all right. This is not the H-Man,
the world, not the person.
Exactly. Gotcha. So Hades will be the place. So whenever you die, you're sent back to Hades, and like every time Zag dies, he returns to the office that the H-Man runs, right? Because the H-Man's got work to do, as the keeper of the underworld. But like if you get killed by like witches in the game, as Zag is respawning, he'll like mumble to himself. He'll be like, "Damn, those witches got me again." Or like if you're killed by skeletons, he'll be like, "Oh, those pesky skeletons." And like after the 100 so runs that I've done for this game, I have yet to hear Zagreus repeat a line. It's insane.
So the whole game really is built so much around replayability. It sounds like
exactly. Like you run, and in Hades, before each run, you can do a lot of stuff. You can upgrade. You can make these subtle upgrades to Zagreus that will slightly tweak your runs permanently. Like not game changing like the boons that you get on a run-to-run basis, but little stuff like every time you go into a room, you get +3 health, that kind of thing. Just something small enough to help you get better at the game or make your runs just a little bit easier. But you can also upgrade that little hub area. Like you can buy a key, which will then open up the bar for like other people, other inhabitants of Hades to like just chill and talk and stuff like that. That's the most important part of the game, is that you'll be talking to the residents of Hades, and by talking to them, the dialogue will expand on the story of like, why exactly is Zag trying to leave? Why are people stuck serving his father? It's interesting how the game never really resets in a way, or at least like so far it hasn't reset for me. Every run, both in escaping the underworld and running around the pre-run, is completely new, which I think is a testament to just how hard they worked on this game. You're saying?
It sounds really cool just in concept, because like, you know, usually with the roguelike, the whole idea is like, oh, you just keep doing the same rote thing, but you learn from your mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like combining the linear progression with that loop, which is something I feel like not a lot of those types of games do.
But don't you beat it every time, technically? I mean, yes, like there is a lot of variety, which is great, and it's kind of what you need from these kind of roguelikes, because I'm guessing you could probably beat it in less than an hour so that you can, you know, do it again differently. Is it actually long enough that it takes a couple sessions?
I'm sorry, it takes, what did you, what's the last part?
Oh, no. Or is it just like, or is it something that takes a couple sessions to actually get through?
So like on your very first couple runs, since you're still trying to understand the layout of some of the maps and how exactly the game works, it's going to take a while until you finally get to... Okay, spoiler for the final boss. The H-Man is the final boss, but come on, I'm pretty sure that's pretty obvious, yeah. But like one of my favorite moments in the game, I'll get back to your thing, Angel, but like one of my favorite moments of the game regarding the H-Man was after I beat the first boss for like my 10th time or so. Oh, by the way, every single time that you go to the first boss, I think she's a harpy. Her name is Meg. Every time you beat her, she brings up the fact that like, oh, so-and-so killed you last time, and that's why you're here again. It's like, it's so clever in that way.
Huh. That's actually really cool. It's world building through your runs.
Yeah.
Instead of the run being the whole game.
Yes, exactly. Like, so after I defeated her for the 10th time, you hear a voiceover from the H-Man, and he says something to himself along the lines of like, well, time to try something new. And then on my next run, there was a completely new first boss, which was like the sister of Meg. And it like blew my mind.
That's really cool.
And then...
That's really cool.
Yeah, and then later on, when I died in that run...
It wasn't just like an alternate color of Meg?
No. It's like a completely... there's some similarities between Meg. It's supposed to be like Meg's sister. So once I died on that run, and I showed up back in Hades, Meg was there, and like you go up to her, and you kind of like poke fun at the fact that she got demoted, and like even she is kind of salty about that. It's so smart. It's so simple, yet so effective in making like this genre, like you said, Jason, this genre that is known for being repetitive on purpose, feel new every single time that you play it.
Yeah, that's interesting. It almost seems like it's intention, like it's random, but it's very intentional at times. Like I'm wondering if this interaction that you had could probably happen later to someone else, or maybe
earlier,
beginning.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the beginning ones, but yeah, the game does switch it up later on. Like I said, spoiler alert: the H-Man is the final boss, but apparently, and I guess I should point out the fact that I still haven't beaten the H-Man. I pretty much can get to him, no problem, but he's a tough guy. That H-Man, you know. But apparently, like, even after you beat him, there's still like some story incentive to keep replaying the game. So I've heard on various other podcasts that once you finally beat the H-Man, you still haven't quote unquote rolled credits on the game.
Huh. I'm just amazed that like this genre blew up so much, like the roguelike genre. I feel like with indie games in particular really blew up, and no one thought of something like this until now. Like, it makes so much sense if you think about it.
Right.
Just no one like just had that train of thought.
I mean, this definitely sounds like the evolution of that, but it also sounds very similar, but albeit it sounds like very similar but slightly different than Binding of Isaac, because that one also does the whole like every run you do is like, I mean, it's obviously randomized every single time. Like, I mean, the main difference between either one is just that Isaac is supposed to be much more unforgiving, so you don't really get the choice of like what boon you want. I mean, the boons are still random, but it sounds like you get to pick whether you want to focus on a certain aspect of your kit versus this is what you get. Deal with it. Which is definitely just what Isaac has. Like, sometimes you might get a bunch of power-ups that leave you defenses that might kill you early, or you might get something super overpowered, and this, because I guess it's just strictly random, they just have so many abilities that could combine in so many ways that it gets kind of nuts. But there's also like a story integrated into it that you won't see unless you play it through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. Like, I mean, you eventually beat the mom, then you beat the womb, then you fight Mega Satan, then Ultra Satan, and yeah. And so it sounds cool. Like, it sounds like this one is definitely has more of a integrated narrative structure instead of a kind of disjointed, but I mean, obviously it's intentional that way.
Right. Like,
it seems interesting.
Like,
I could see why it's hitting. I mean, that game was huge, so it makes sense that something like this. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. Binding of Isaac does have like a story in the background, sort of, and does have its like lore. But this game
in
is
the background.
yeah. This is a sort of narrative. It's not. I wouldn't say it's narrative focused, because I don't think that there's anything that you can do in the narrative side that will affect the outcome of the story. But there's like dialogue, you know. It's there is a narrative here. While in
I feel like I think you kind of have to figure it out on your own.
Yeah,
there was no,
exactly.
Like,
yeah, and then like you'll learn secrets about Hades, and then you'll learn stuff about every boss. The more that you talk to them, or you can give some of these bosses gifts, and they'll give you like a relic that will help you out for like the first couple of encounters that you do. There's like a lot of
like a dating sim.
No, it definitely doesn't go the full Persona 5 route, but I mean, if it did, man, Aphrodite, whew. You guys have seen the memes of just how attractive the portraits of the Mount Olympic gods are.
I've definitely seen. Yeah, I've seen the memes. Yeah,
yeah. The art style is beautiful. The music's amazing. Yeah, I have nothing but praise for this game. It definitely has cracked my top 10 games of all time, honestly. And like the fact that I can say that without even having like properly beat the game, I think that makes this game pretty special.
So I guess it's because
one of your
saying
favorite games, but
we're gonna say, Angel.
No, so definitely one of your favorite games, but you don't know yet if it is your favorite game.
I definitely have games that I like more than this, but this is definitely
the decade.
I'm sorry, but not in the decade.
It's not from this decade, possibly.
Well, this decade just started.
That's what he's saying. It's been 10 months. What's your list?
that's what he means by I'm being very confident about it.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just took it as the last, like, 2020 to 2011.
No. My last game of the decade was Bloodborne. Bloodborne was. Whew. This game does not beat Bloodborne, but it's definitely on the same tier as Bloodborne, I would say. Yeah,
It sounds like
I
it's
love this game.
crazy amount of content for like. I think it's like $25 on the eShop. Like that's a lot of content for $25 if you're going through it this many times over.
Yeah, exactly. And Supergiant is known for their narrative stuff. Like, have either of you guys played Bastion?
I've heard good things.
I've played it
So no.
briefly,
So, like,
never got into it. I guess
The thing
Not 'cause
about
I didn't
that game-
I just
the thing about that game is it's also like an isometric RPG, but you have a narrator that's narrating every single thing that you do. So they do have this sort of experience with I guess procedural narrative stuff. I guess procedurally, yeah. I guess I would say that. Yeah, I love this game.
So this is like the final form of everything they've worked. Well, maybe not the final, but the next level of everything they've done.
Yeah, and they're constantly making balance patches. It's funny because in their patch notes they will show which patch or like which change was because of the community. Like they'll indicate it. So they're listening to everybody. And this is just 1.0. I'm sure there's going to be DLC. I'm sure there's going to be new weapons, new areas, new bosses, that kind of stuff. I can't wait. I'm excited. I just need that cross save patch so that I can play it in bed. That's all I need. Yeah.
And that's the only thing holding it back from being your favorite game ever. Weird.
Oh yeah. Once it's on Switch,
save.
that's it. It's over for me. Yeah, that's Hades.
So I guess jumping from one favorite game to another favorite game, Angel, Smash Bros. So Smash Bros. Ultimate, the Minecraft Steve and Alex update came out. I know you've been playing it. I've been playing it a little too. How you like it? What do you think of Steve / Alex / Enderman / fourth character whose name I'm forgetting?
Zombie?
It's a creeper.
Yes,
isn't
zombie.
It? Oh, never mind.
It's a creeper, but they call him zombie for some reason. I guess because he's wearing clothes, so he's a human.
No,
creeper?
it's a zombie.
I don't know.
The
Right,
creeper,
but
you're probably thinking of the Mii Fighter costume.
yeah,
The creepers just explode on you. The costume is, or the other skin is just straight up zombie. Basically, Green Steve.
yeah,
But
But yeah, what do you think of it so far?
I mean, I guess like hot take, and it's funny. Like my hot take on the character when it first came out, or first playing it, and even to now has kind of remained the same. Like it's just really fun and really unique, and just
Super unique.
both doesn't feel like they fit in this game, but also feels like they do because they don't. I mean, it's kind of like Min Min. Like it feels like they kind of play the way you would expect them to play, like in their own game. Like when you're watching like two Steves fight it out, or just them doing a bunch of the random shenanigans they do. Like it's really just like you're playing Minecraft, and it's the same thing with Min Min. But for her, it was kind of detrimental because the game she's from gets boring really quickly. But Minecraft, I mean, my brother and I started playing the game like over 10 years ago, well, about 10 years ago, whenever it first came out. But we don't play it a lot. Like we still get back to it from time to time. Like it's still, and the only reason we stop is just not because we get bored, it's just because we get occupied with other things.
Right.
But yeah, he's just, I don't know, there's always like new fun things to discover. But also, he also just reminds me of how creative they got with Phoenix, right? But in Marvel vs. Capcom. But essentially, like you do have to mine in this game. You do have to craft. If anything, you pretty much have to be mining the whole time. And while it doesn't apply as much to tournaments, actually, I guess it kind of does. But depending on where you mine, you get certain materials. But essentially, you want to build up your wood and iron, and you want to get those diamonds so that you could craft, your diamond sword or your iron weapons. And depending on how much iron you have, determines whether you could use your minecart or whether you could drop an anvil. Which
or really the strength of them, because you can do it regardless. But like I can start the match immediately with a minecart and it will go. It just won't do a whole lot.
No, well, yeah. I mean, you always start with some iron, but you definitely have to manage that resource. Essentially, you have to remember to mine, which is definitely something most people will. That'll probably be the hardest thing that'll be the thing people will struggle with the most, because typically you won't think about mining whenever you're playing in between a stock. You just want to like run around or maybe like just get some distance, but you definitely should just be mining the entire time. And of course, with such a complex And with such a complex character, you also get a ton of issues, which they actually fixed yesterday. There's still a bunch on there, but I mean, his block building system, the fact they incorporated the way they did, like people lowballed and they thought they were high, like they were overestimating like how many blocks he could put. They figured, all right, maybe he'll get to drop 6 blocks max and that's it. But nope, you can actually drop as many blocks as you possibly can. It really just comes down to how long the material lasts and how much material you have. So in theory, you can have almost like 20 blocks on the field if you're fast enough, which is kind of nuts. But there are limits to how high up and how far to the left and right you could put down your blocks. But yeah, just very unorthodox. Doesn't feel cheap to fight against, but I also haven't fought against that many. Like, they don't feel annoying. Like, I don't like go ugh. Like when they appear online as an opponent, like it's more like, ooh, like I wonder what this one's gonna do, because they're just entertaining to watch. Because every Steve, Alex, whatever, I'm gonna call it Minecraft. Every Minecraft player out
Steve.
there,
I don't think anybody knows who Alex is.
Hey, I mean, someone out there may have played Minecraft Dungeons. Maybe.
Oh, that poor soul.
well, yeah, like every Steve, kind of like there are some characters that, I mean, I don't know. I just want to say, like, can only really be played one way. Like I'll say, for example, like Sonic. Like, you can only really play Sonic one way and be good with them. And that is kind of why, like, I get very eye-rolly at some characters. Like, some characters, yeah, like, are tougher than others and can be really difficult to get into. But, I mean, no, you may recall, like, my Luigi rant. But, I just think with Steve, like, he just has so many different avenues that he could take that it just makes every fight with him, it's unique and interesting. At least, definitely right now, while he's still fresh. But, yeah, it doesn't even feel like people have really cracked everything that there is to figure out. I mean, with Min Min, it feels like everyone figured everything out within, like, the first week. But then again, all her attacks are just, like, stretchy arms with the few kicks thrown in there. But, honestly, I think probably just as cool as Steve is the stage. The stage, for some reason, just looks really nice. Like when you're playing in it. Like,
all
the
6 of them do.
Really
There's 6, technically.
Yeah, like the characters don't feel that out of place in it, but whether it's like the snow theme, the desert, whatever, like they're just really pleasant to look at. It's just very colorful. And I mean, maybe it is also just like a nice change of pace from seeing the same backgrounds a lot. Because, you know, especially if you're playing online, you are going to see Pokemon Stadium a ton. You're going to see the Animal Crossing stages. You're probably going to see Small Battlefield or Final Destination. I usually just pick random Final Destination or random Omega. That way we at least get a different background every time. And music, for that matter. But, I don't know, this one, because I guess it's so varied, like more so than the, I guess, random quote-unquote stages, you know, like, for example, I guess Animal Crossing, it's sometimes day, it's sometimes night. I mean, at the end of the day, it still kind of gives you the same vibe. Or maybe because it's 2 of them, it's just not as exciting. Or those
At the end of the day, I get it, because it's night at the end of the day. That was good.
Or those stages that have random characters show up. I mean, I think the Animal Crossing one always has the same ones. And if it doesn't, then I can't tell. But there's like stages like like, and I feel like I pitch into that, but I feel like it's always the same ones. Like, it might be static or not. But, like, I'm thinking, like, the King of Fighters stage, like that, I know for a fact has different characters show up every once in a while, but unless the Freddy Krueger dude shows up, like, I kind of forget they're there. Like, they're not that, they're nice, awesome details, but they don't stand out that much. They're just kind of, they're blend in too much with the background. Yeah, they feel more cosmetic.
Minimal cosmetic, yeah.
But the Minecraft stage, like, because it actually has a day-night cycle within the match, you actually see the zombies like walk around, like go to the doors of the houses. You see the villagers come in and out. Like, it literally feels like there's like a game of Minecraft going on as you're playing.
Oh, that's cool.
The background, unfortunately, like, while it does have like some neat lighting, it definitely looks better at night than it does in the day because the lava will glow, and the sky is obviously its own box that looks identical to the one in Minecraft. But if you look closely at the terrain, it looks like one giant JPEG. That it's like one resolution or two, like too low than what it's meant to be. So it looks like, it doesn't look fuzzy in the sense that it's like the depth of field, like it's supposed to look like it's far away. It just looks pixely. and
low
and I don't
res.
and I don't mean in the good way, because I mean, Minecraft, you think could get away with that because everything's blocky, but for some reason it's even more apparent than like Garden of Hope, because I know like some other Smash Bros. Stages are literally just one giant JPEG, but
I never noticed that with any of them. Huh.
It depends on like the one that kind of like had me do a double take, and I was even kind of a little disappointed, even though it literally doesn't matter. In the Pikmin 3 stage, I think it's Garden of Hope. It might be something else. There's like a bunch of... The Something of Hope is always the name of the first level. But the SS Drake, the spaceship they use in Pikmin 3, I always thought that was like a model, because like whenever you're moving around, it kind of has this tilting thing. But then when you pause it, it's just straight up flat. And I'm like, all the time I thought, like, they just have like really good shading on it, and they literally move the model of the ship as you're playing so that it kind of hides it. But then when you pause it, you realize like it's a lie. Like, it's all been a lie. Like, what else has been fake?
You should watch what's it called, Boundary Breakers or whatever on YouTube, where they literally just rip apart all these little shortcuts and games.
Oh no, yeah, I do watch that thing from time to time. Although like sometimes I feel great series. Definitely recommend watching episodes only on games you're interested in. But I feel sometimes like he talks about certain topics like for way too long.
Oh, they're long, yeah.
Like, he'll go over like something that I would say like not as interesting for a very long time, and then briefly go over something that is way more interesting, but then like kind of brush it off and go over something else. But it's still very interesting overall. But yeah, I think it's definitely a great addition to the roster, especially after the last two. Not so much. I mean, there's still well-designed characters.
They're not as interesting.
They just weren't as exciting. I mean, especially the fact that we got Byleth and Min Min back to back. I mean, Byleth, as amazing and as big of a seller Fire Emblem Three Houses was, it was still a Fire Emblem character. That was definitely like its downfall. And also just being released like the last of the Fighters Pass 1. I think any other order would have definitely been not as like impactful, because it was your closer, and your closer was another Fire Emblem character.
It was anticlimactic.
And then right after that, we got character from a game that people like, but no one overall seems to really care that much about. Like, they're just like, yeah, we like ARMS, but I mean, I don't know, the sales kind of speak for themselves. But yeah, the
sales are okay. It sold like just shy of 3 million, I think, at this point. That's a decent number. Wii U game would kill for that number.
Yeah, the Wii U would kill for anything.
Wii U would kill for 5, let alone 3 million. But yeah, it's interesting that you're saying.
I mean, compared to like its other Nintendo brethren, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I know. I'm just devil's advocate.
Oh yeah, I mean, anything with Nintendo on it is gonna sell well. I mean, like I liked Super Mario Party, but
not true. Steel Diver for the Nintendo 3DS.
Okay, you know why that is like an exception.
Okay, I could give you a whole bunch of Nintendo games that bombed.
No, I know there's plenty, but I mean, yeah, okay, maybe I shouldn't say anything with Nintendo, but I mean, I feel like a character-focused Nintendo game like
ARMS
that
is like really low on the totem pole, yes, for sure.
Yeah, because I feel like that's a game that probably should have done better, but I don't know. It was also it probably went too hard on the game as a service, and I think it under-delivered in the beginning, and by the end of it just felt kind of late. Like, I felt like it finally made the game it became was what I felt the value was that should have been in the beginning. Whereas Splatoon, I feel, had the meat to warrant its price initially, and still kept getting more things. And ARMS felt like, oh, okay, now we're finally started where it is a year later, and it's over, and that's it.
Well, Splatoon had in its back pocket the single player. If it didn't have if it was like ARMS and just didn't have that single player, it would have been the exact same trajectory in terms of how content was added. But it had that single player. Both the 1 and 2 had it at the ready, so that helped a lot. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think you raised a good point about like Minecraft, the Minecraft crew just being interesting characters, because like I feel like the second I booted up the game, like just even the way that like they have the announcer say Steve, like it's so out of place. It's just like Steve, and it's like okay, and then like he looks out of place. He kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, design wise compared to the rest of the game. Like he had that meat of his that Nintendo had to patch out, which
he got
was
nerfed.
Just a steak, guys. Yeah, he got nerfed. He lost his steak, shall we say? But no, but there was something I wanted to touch on that you were talking about, which is how how you play as him and how different his gameplay style is. Like, what I find interesting about Steve, is that for all the characters in Smash Bros. And like all the weird ways that you use them, they all kind of engage in battle. So like Steve is probably the only one where you actually need to shift what you focus on when you play. Like for the other guys, you're always focused exclusively on the opponent, right? Like there are items, there are obstacles, there are hazards, whatever. But ultimately, no pun intended, your main focus is on attacking or defending against the fighters on the stage the second it starts, right? Like the game starts, you need either, you need to like 4D chess your way through the game. But with Steve's crafting system, I feel like you actually need to refocus, because obviously you still need to keep tabs on where your opponent is. But when the match first starts, it's not like I didn't find myself rushing towards an opponent or immediately dodging an opponent. I just started mining and crafting like you were describing, Angel. And, as we talked about last episode when Steve was announced, and again, you brought it up, like the way the crafting system's integrated is really good. Like it is a really good send up to Minecraft, but it just really changes the game in Smash. It's interesting because his weapons, you sort of touched on this too, but since they're entirely dependent on what you craft, like you can come in and you can do like two things right off the bat. You can drop your anvil and you can throw a minecart and they do okay damage, or you can like hit someone with basically a non-weapon and it does like no real damage. But then when you craft, suddenly all your skills become really powerful, especially if you get the good materials like you were talking about, like the diamonds or the iron or whatever over say dirt or wood. And it's interesting because it's like the risk reward like balance in Smash is very, of the moment. Like you do something and within a second, you're probably gonna get your answer that was worth the risk and you got the reward, or it backfired on you. But Steve feels like you're playing this really long game of risk and reward where like half the time you're facing all the risk, but then the second half is all the reward, because like those attacks get some oomph if you craft them correctly. Like there really is a reward. And then that cycle of like this stretched out risk reward just kind of loops itself because Steve's weapons are breakable, like in Minecraft. So that's like the kind of ebb and flow, like the gameplay loop of Steve is like this sort of drawn out, stretched out, strung out, however you want to say it, version of what Smash normally is. But you can't just do split second decisions. It's like you kind of have to plan ahead a little, which is so unusual for Smash. It makes it very distinct from the rest of Smash, at least for me, because you kind of like isolate yourself, then you jump into the battle, then you go isolate yourself again, and it kind of like when you do smaller number of opponents, it feels like it almost makes it kind of rote at times, because like the battles are a little less intense because you're literally like distancing yourself. But when it's like a lot of people on screen, you still have the craziness. But it's just interesting how like a simple character with one new mechanic is able to really change at least how I approach Smash Bros, which was kind of surprising. I didn't think it'd be that drastic. Like, if that makes sense. I don't know if you felt the same way, but it definitely felt like there was like a tipping of the timeline for the risk reward of a fighting game with him.
Yeah, I mean, all these new characters, they've just been really interesting overall. I mean, I guess I would say Bias is probably the least interesting because they just feel very basic, but everyone else brings in like a new mechanic to the game. And yeah, like the fact that like if you have redstone and gold, like you combine those with the minecart and all of a sudden you have the powered up minecart from the actual game, or you can make your TNT or whatever. But it definitely makes the older characters like look really dated. Like it's
and
kind
simple.
of a shame that it's kind of a shame that like in this version of Ultimate, and I mean maybe a lot of it was just copy paste as much as you can and tweak it so that we can get everyone in here. But yeah, it seems like some characters like Mario, Donkey Kong, Bowser, as much as I like his moveset competitively, like as a representation of Bowser as a character, I think it does a terrible job. Yeah, like it's kind of a shame that these new characters get all this like loving attention to detail, like every single taunt, like for Steve, or yeah, let's keep it on Steve. Like everything from his stage, his music, his moves, like are all referencing something in particular.
His meat.
And then I look at Bowser's Dawn taunt, and I'm like, is he supposed to be tripping? Like I'm not even sure what he's doing. And I'm like, what is that referencing? Like when does he ever do that? Like, yeah.
Well, so to that point, here's a question. Since you're saying, like Bowser's really good for competitive play, but not as a representation of his character or his canon, have pro strategies? Have you, because you sort of keep tabs on us, have strategies emerged of how to like use Steve well? Like, is there a competitive side to him already, or is it because he's so different?
No,
it's nowhere there, nowhere near there.
No, he's considered not broken in the sense that anyone could just pick him up and win with them. If in fact, like I feel like if the average person just used them, they'll probably end up killing themselves a lot.
I definitely did.
It's surprisingly hard to recover as Steve initially if you don't really know the ins and outs of how it works. Mm-hmm. But if you do know how it works, he actually ends up having a really, really good recovery. And he actually has a lot of combos, and he has potential to like 0 to death people like off of one grab. Like he has the capabilities with some setups to instantly break your shield, push you all the way to the edge, spawn a block off the stage, jump on the block, and then grab you. Oh no. Push the opponent to the edge of the stage, jump off stage, and spawn a block so that you're hovering in the air, and then immediately drop an anvil on said block you just spawned, and then grab your opponent so that you're both dragged down to the blast zone, and you're still able to recover from that, and your opponent isn't. So, there's like a lot of like crazy setups. So there's people that figured out that, if I continuously up tilt, which is his axe attack upward at someone, they could up tilt, jump, continuously up tilt, and then spawn a block under them and continue the up tilt string. And then when they spawn another block, they could do an up smash, which is designed to have a lot of end lag, which means that after you use it, you're kind of stuck there for a while. It's supposed to be open, but if you use it on top of a dirt block, the block will get destroyed halfway through the animation, which will allow you to continue to attack and discontinue the combo. So, yeah, very advanced character, very competitive. Already won its first online tournament because, there are no offline tournaments. With a pro player.
So it took less than a week for him to be a tournament-winning character.
Yep. So
I'd like to remind you,
they probably nerfed some other things, but yeah.
Right. I'd like to remind you did start this answer with, he's not competitive yet. And then you went into all these crazy techniques that show he is. So that's cool. I wonder if the next character, there's no way they can top something this like random compared to a traditional Smash character, right? Like, I imagine the next one's going to be more of a Min or a Byleth.
Yeah, the only other one I could think of would be something like that's just from a non-fighting game genre, like Steve, like kind of how Phoenix Wright was integrated in Marvel with his actual investigation and courtroom fates and turnabout. Like literally everything is in there. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what they come up with. I mean, it's definitely, the bar is kind of high. Like even if you're not a Steve fan, like it's definitely very much a what the heck character. That,
for sure. And that's why I love him. I love when Smash Bros. Goes the curveball. I love when it gets weird. And like I was saying last episode, like that finding that middle ground between like interesting new mechanics and just like weird celebration of gaming that doesn't feel like it should work, but it somehow does. Like that intersection of Smash is where like I live. I love it. So yeah, I want them to do
Steve
more
being
weird
here
stuff.
and his ability to craft blocks all over the place. At least that means there definitely won't be any kind of Fortnite shenanigans because they would definitely step on each other's toes a little with the whole building thing.
True. I didn't think about a Fortnite character. Yeah, that would make sense. Or a Rocket League car. Just have a car drive around. That's about it.
I could see them doing spirits, but
yeah,
if they haven't already.
But Zacharias and
I don't really
Smash.
keep track of it. I'd be more down for that than some of the top picks right now, but.
Yeah, some of them are a bit. Maybe they'll finally do Geno, guys. All the Mario RPG fans can finally have their piece.
It's funny, like Geno could potentially be interesting, but it's because he's been so requested. I'm just kind of hoping it's not because I want to see something else.
Yeah, something actually like unexpected.
It wouldn't be surprising at this point, although that's someone that hasn't played Mario RPG is saying. And I know, obviously, if I had or if I loved it as much as other people did, I mean, I still keep singing the praises like. Banjo. It's like literally no different. Like we kept saying like, oh, we want Banjo to be in it since who knows how long. And when he finally was in it, we were still just as happy. But, yep.
Get Glover in this. Glover riding his big bouncy ball or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? Glover for the N64 and I believe
Yes,
Dreamcast?
I do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. It wasn't that bad of a game. The physics were a little wonky, but it wasn't that bad. Gex the Gecko.
Nintendo
There we
business
go.
to know.
Gex the Gecko. But yeah, I guess unless there's anything else about Smash, this seems like as good a time as any to bring up the Fire Emblem anniversary announcement that Nintendo made just this past Thursday. So the reason is twofold. One, you reference Fire Emblem, and I'm like, there we go. But the other is so like the Smash reveals, yeah, it's your fault. No, but the reason I was thinking is like the Smash reveals are always, here's a character in their game, and now look, they're in Smash. And the reveal they did for this Fire Emblem anniversary announcement was, hey, you know these characters from Smash, now here they are in this other game. Like, it's a complete flip of the like trope they created for the Smash template, which I thought was kind of funny. So for those who missed it, maybe what they announced is a port of the very first Fire Emblem. It's coming to Switch. It'll be the first time the original game is available in English, although we did get a remake of it on DS with Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon. So I don't know, maybe this is using the same script or a pared down version of that script, but either way, it's coming west in its full like 8-bit form as Fire Emblem, Shadow Dragon, and the Blade of Light. Honestly, like that Smash Bros. Trailer they did was pretty fun. Like I liked it. I liked how it referenced the conversation I think all of us probably had around that time when Melee came out. And there's Marth and there's Roy, and everyone's just like, who are these guys? What is this game? And you know, they kind of used that as like the way to pivot into the news of this re-release. What did you guys think of the announcement? If anything,
didn't know it happened until honestly maybe less than a few hours ago.
Really?
Maybe 2 hours
You
ago?
went like a while without knowing? I mean, they did just tweet it, which is kind of their MO now, but
I think I just saw like a picture of it, and I thought the collection looked neat.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
is that a glass NES? NES?
NES. It is an NES. Yes. No.
NES?
It's so what it is they're gonna release it digitally, or you get this physical set for $50. And if you get the $50 physical set,
I mean, all it did was make me go like, I wish Metroid or some franchise I care about got this treatment.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
or Mario
and
for that matter. This feels like a bigger deal than Mario's 35th anniversary game.
Well, yeah, that's kind of thing. It's funny because like after all that criticism of how like Mario 3D All Stars like have physical release that didn't do anything to make it collectible except the limited window. Yeah, like it's nice to see that Nintendo's actually doing the full on opposite here because for those $50 you are getting, as you noticed, physical NES game box, a replica cartridge that Nintendo's deeming an art piece, and it comes with a protective sleeve. You also get a 200-page hardcover art book, an NES-style physical game manual that's a translated version of the Japanese manual, a fold-out map of the game world, a mini Nintendo Power magazine about the game that is issue 11.5, which since Nintendo Power used to be bi-monthly back in the 80s, that would mean, or 90 or whenever this came out, that would mean that this would have been the in-between of those two actual real issues, right, which lines up perfectly with the month it was released in Japan. So, like, and you also get a download code. Not a cartridge, a download code. So there's no actual game in the Anniversary Edition set that you can like have as a tangible thing that you can actually play.
Just like Mario Kart Live, whatever.
Yeah, essentially. And then the game itself.
Oh no, Labo is physical.
Labo is physical. Yeah, Labo came with.
That's the one that I felt should be digital. Cause
yeah. It's. I think Nintendo kind of learned. They seem to be learning their lessons here slowly.
Same thing with Ring Fit. Like they literally got it backwards.
Yeah.
The heck.
But if you do get the Fire Emblem digital game with the anniversary set or not, it's not just the port localized. They are giving it some quality of life features that mirror, kind of what Switch Online has in terms of emulation. So that means you'll get your save states. You can rewind them, although now they're called bookmarks and they're baked into the core game menu. It's not like an emulator overlay. It's actually part of the core game. And they're also adding a fast forward feature if you don't want to sit through dialogue or battle animations or what have you. So that game by itself, if you want to download it, is $6, or you spend $44 more and you get all this stuff along with the download. So that's kind of what it is. We never got to you, Kevin, though. Like, I don't even remember. Are you a big Fire Emblem guy? No, right?
I mean, I played the crap out of Fire Emblem Awakening back on the 3DS.
So does this tickle your fancy at all?
Not at all.
I think, like, honestly, the part of the release that raises the most questions for me is
Can I guess?
that... Go for it.
Is it that it's only going to stay on sale until March 31st?
That's one of the things. I think first off, before we even get to that, the thing that I'm really everything, all my questions about it are the digitalness of it. So yeah, first off is the limited release thing, actually, I'll get to that in a sec. The first thing I was going to say was the fact that it's not part of Switch Online. Like, Nintendo has an entire platform for NES games in place right now, including ones that previously weren't released in America. Switch Online. Like, we've talked for multiple episodes now about how Nintendo keeps saying they want to do value adds for the service. Tetris 99, Mario 35. What? Well, I don't know, because like I don't know what made them decide, okay, we'll put Super Mario Picross unlocalized on Switch Online, which, Angel, I know you talked about a couple episodes ago.
I guess it just depends on the efforts. Like, can we
make
more money out of this?
But that's the thing, is like, this is a massive opportunity for like an upsell for new subscribers, or it's a value add for those who already have Switch Online. It's the very first Fire Emblem playable in English for the very first time. They can use a script they already wrote on the DS.
I doubt it would move the needle, honestly.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Is I think one argument is it doesn't do enough, so why not just take the Mulan approach with Disney Plus and just charge extra for it, essentially. Like, the people that already have Switch Online, the people already are playing Fire Emblem Three Houses, they're gonna be the ones that buy this, so why not? But I think the other thing is, like, okay, fine. So if it's not gonna move the needle in terms of Switch Online, why don't you go kind of halfway here? Make the physical version a thing you buy for $50. Give a digital copy in that you download, and then everyone else just have it accessible in Switch Online. Like, if it's not gonna sell that much or move the needle that much, just like take the hit, have it be a feature ad, a value add, and then for people that actually want to buy it, there, the diehard fans are gonna get the set. Then you get a actual download you can have. Like, they could have done that, but whatever. They just want the most money possible, I guess, at the end of the day, which is also the reason, I have to imagine, to circle back to what you said, Kevin, the baffling choice that it's only out for limited time. So, like with Mario 3D All-Stars, like with Mario 35...
I mean, when they say a limited time, I mean, is it actually...
Yes. Like, March 31st, 2020. It's gone.
No. I meant, like, essentially, they're just going to keep, like, producing as many as they possibly can of these until that day? Or is it just we made a set amount, and if it happened, and whichever comes first, they fully sell out, or that date, I guess.
Poor innocent angel. Yes, the physical release is, of course, limited. Nintendo does that with all their special editions. I'm talking about the digital download. Will only be on the eShop until March 31st, and then this game will cease to be purchasable in any form. There's no inventory issue with digital. They're literally doing the Super Mario 3D All-Stars thing again.
Oh no! I was only talking about the physical. Yeah,
the physical. I imagine stuff, they say the physical.
They pull the plug when they pull the plug.
Yeah, so the physical is while supplies last, which means probably 1 or 2 runs, which is what they do with a lot of their special editions. You know, whenever they do like the beefed up, you get the regular game, or you can get like the $20 more thing that comes with the little art book. Like, those are all limited run. So I don't think the physical people are having issues with, but the arbitrary digital of March 31st, 2020 is kind of what's weird. And I'm sure someone out there is thinking, but Jason, like, didn't you defend their decision to limit Mario 35? Like, weren't you all for that? And I do stand by that, because that's a live, always-on game. Like, it's an experience or an activation, and like an event, essentially. But Fire Emblem, like Mario 3D All-Stars, is a static single-player experience. There's no upkeep here. There's no servers. There's no other people you need to play with. You just upload the file to the store. You list it on the store, and you're done if you're Nintendo. Like, there's no reason they should take it away. So the fact that Nintendo is going, like, out of their way to create this false scarcity, it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. Like, I definitely think it's them further trying to create that sense of FOMO. Like, if you will need to buy a Switch this holiday season if you want to experience this Fire Emblem game, if you want to experience Mario 35, if you want to experience Mario 3D All-Stars. And I get that strategy can work for Mario, because, like, everyone knows Mario, and those classics could honestly sway a holiday purchase decision if people really are nostalgic for 64 or Sunshine or Galaxy. But, like, Fire Emblem, I honestly think, Kevin, your point about, like, you know, it's not going to move the needle, I think that's true here too. Like, no one's going to buy a Switch for a $6 Fire Emblem game. The people they're selling it to are people who already have Switches because they were playing Three Houses and they're core Fire Emblem fans, or people who already have Switches and are just like, what's this retro 80s game? Like, I can't see a single person that's going to go, man, I just spent $300 for a $6 game, which kind of negates the need to limit it, I feel like.
So, back to what you were saying, Nintendo creating this FOMO. I don't have an issue with that. My issue lies that all these games just so coincidentally land on the last day of their fiscal year.
Oh, yeah, it's super transparent.
It's like,
yeah, because
you're not even
they're
trying
creating...
to. You guys are mask off. You guys aren't even hiding it at this point.
Yeah, no, literally, and that's the thing. It's like the FOMO thing. It's like that's just a marketing strategy, right? But like the fact that they're so blatantly being like, we will sell all these things and you will buy all these things up until we have our new fiscal year with supposedly the Switch Pro and this bigger lineup of games and everything that will like cover us for next year. Like we just need to carry you. We need you to carry us through this year, and we'll make it as clear.
That's the part that I feel is very. I don't want to use the word scummy because I think that's too much. But
it's very
definitely
corporate.
I think corporate is too
sleazy.
Yeah, no, sleazy is worse than scummy. It's in between corporate and. I don't know what the word is. It's
transparent, but in a negative way.
Yeah. Sure, we'll go with that.
I don't know. I can't think of a better phrase. And there is a chance, to be fair, that like Nintendo could relent and let it be sold longer. A lot of people, including MPD analyst Matt Piscatella, who we reference all the time, are expecting that after 3D All Stars promised purchase period is over, Nintendo may sell each game separately at a slightly higher price digitally. And like to Nintendo's credit, or they literally did this just the other week. Jump Rope Challenge, on the second to last day of its release window, they're like, hey, it's going to be available indefinitely. Granted, that's a free, tiny game, but there is a precedent. Yeah, you can download it now, even though it ended on September 30th, supposedly. So there is a chance they'll keep this going. But that's almost even more scummy because then it's like a fake out. So I don't know what's worse at this
literally
point.
Just sounded like a straight up lie then.
Well, I don't think it was it might have been a lie. I don't know. But I'm hoping,
we don't know.
There's a part of me that kind of hopes they stay true to their deadline because, at least if they're being transparent and scummy about it, like they're staying true to their scummy transparency. But if they, on March 29th, they're like, guys, Fire Emblem you guys really enjoyed Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light or whatever it's called. We're just going to make it available forever. That would definitely rub a lot of people the wrong way, I think. But,
it's not like the collector's edition is going to be available again.
No, but like this, the whole premise of why they're trying to get people to rush to buy it now instead of waiting. And I think if they then turn around and go, JK, a lot of people are going to be like, what? Especially if they do it with Mario at the same time. Like I think Mario, they might be able to skate by going, well, you got a discount. We're going to charge $10 more per game or something. But like if Fire Emblem just lives on, it feels like I feel like a lot of people wouldn't be like, oh, I'm going to burn my Switch or something. But next time they make one of these announcements, it's going to, it's salt in the wound at that point.
I mean, does that also mean like, at this point, it doesn't feel like it's happening. So, I mean, just kind of theory crafting. But like, let's say they make an N64 Nintendo Switch Online app. Do you think they shouldn't put Mario 64?
I don't think they're going to do that at all. I think Mario 64, we'll talk about MPD later, but I think Mario 64 or Mario All-Stars has proven Nintendo can just re-release old games from they can ride the nostalgia wave as new releases. Like kind of how they used to, like Super Nintendo games were all Game Boy Advance ports at one point in time until they decided, you know what, these are too old now. Let's just make them cheap downloads or a free add-on over the years. I think that's what they're going to do with N64. I don't think it's I think it's going to start as like a premium, like you purchase it in collections or you purchase it in like these Mario style bundles, and then eventually a generation from now on the Switch 2 or whatever, they might do like an N64 channel. And I think what leads me to that more than Mario 3D All-Star success, which again we'll talk about later, is I think the big tell, I was so confident they were going to do an N64 mini, or like a classic N64 edition, and then it just never happened. And then they just started redoing the whole cycle of the free stuff or the bundle stuff again with Switch Online. Like they did the NES, they did the Super Nintendo, and then they went, cool. Now what if we do that again, but it's part of a subscription service now? And I think they have to go through that whole rigmarole of multiple passes with these games before we get the free ones. It's very much the Disney vault. Nintendo is very, very much like just following Disney's footsteps with this stuff now. Which means, if you think about like the Switch Online library, I'd say that's analogous to those things being part of Disney Vault, constantly being re-released, and then being put on Disney Plus. So they're just going to keep doing that same cycle over and over, I would guess, because it makes them money. So why not? But if we're going down your theory crafting road. But one other frustrating part of this, though, to me, is that all these bizarre digital decisions they're doing are kind of overshadowing the opportunity Nintendo created here. Like, we spent the majority of time not saying, look how cool it is that Nintendo took this previously unreleased, unlocalized game and is now bringing it to fans as like basically total fan service this many years later. And not only are they doing that, but they're doing it in that like a really cool bundle that's really fan service. Like that thing is like Nintendo's never done replica cartridges before, things like that. Like this is like peak fan service.
Yeah, that's like a limited run thing or something. They're literally doing it for
Shantae,
straight up. I think that ended already.
Yeah, and it's they did do it for Shantae. Yeah, the Game Boy cartridge, right? I think that was a couple weeks ago. And actually, the DS Shantae is now remastered with an director's cut on a Switch. Came out last week. So I don't know if you knew that, but yeah, Shantae's getting the whole re-release thing too. But yeah, like Nintendo never does this, and now they're doing it. And I'm kind of hoping that even past, through the digital shenanigans, the release does well enough that it could inspire Nintendo to perhaps port and localize other games. Like this could be the start of something really cool. I mean, I don't know if there's any games you guys have wanted to see come stateside that never did from Nintendo. I mean, the obvious answer is Mother 3, but
why?
Like they're.
Oh, for everybody.
Or,
in general,
Earthbound 2,
I don't care
whatever they would call it.
Yeah, Earthbound 2, I guess.
It.
But
I don't even know if I'd get it out of curiosity at this point. I don't know. Because I tried playing Earthbound, but I couldn't really get into it. So I just figured it just wasn't my type of game.
Right.
But
just like this opens the door to that. Like it was Mother.
Think of anything else though.
Well, it's funny because when this was announced this morning,
I mean,
we're
even
recording
stuff
on Thursday.
like
Everyone.
Captain Rainbow or
well, see that I'd be
Wii
into.
game.
Well, what else hasn't been brought stateside?
So there's a few. To Angel's point about weird. I think I'd be for more weird Nintendo. Like I think Captain Rainbow would be really interesting. If you don't know what that is,
Tingle
Kevin.
and Rupee Land.
Tingle and Rupee Land would be a good one. That's a Zelda spinoff. They could do it for 35th anniversary next year.
Wow!
But
that's what they should do for the 35th anniversary.
No. As part of it. As part of it. Not the only thing, but
Like a
they
slap
could
in
do it
the
for.
face.
No, it'd be. I imagine they're going to do a Zelda 35.
Even as a part of it, that's almost why.
It's apparently quite a fun game. Europe got it, but I don't know. But no, like I see that sort of weird stuff is the stuff that didn't make it over. Like so, Captain Rainbow. I don't know if you're familiar with it, Kevin, but it's by Skip Ltd, the guys that do Chibi Robo, and it's basically you're on an island. It's kind of Animal Crossing-esque. You're on an island, but you're helping all these B and C tier Nintendo characters that time forgot, and you have to do various tasks for them. It's kind of meta in that way. And there's a game they did before that never got brought over here on the GameCube called Giftpia, which was also sort of Animal Crossing-esque, also from the same Chibi Robo guys, also set on an island, also having you do tasks for people, and then you kind of unlock the island as you do more tasks. So, like, if they were to maybe, I don't know, bundle those two together, they never will, but, like, that would be kind of cool. I actually did an extra, it's funny that you mentioned Captain Rainbow, I actually did an extra article here on the site, like, way back in 2013 that talked about Captain Rainbow and some other weird, not localized games that Nintendo could have done. There's one called Kiki Trick, which was from the WarioWare team, but you didn't, it was about watching and hearing things, and then you answer questions about it. Like that was kind of like how Rhythm Heaven was like you do mute WarioWare, but it's music. This was like but it's observation. There's some potential.
I guess I do have one. I guess Rhythm Heaven.
Or hand in hand with that, the Elite Beat Agent games.
The Rhythm Heaven from the Game Boy Advance that never made it over here. We just went straight to the DS one. Yeah,
that would actually that'd be interesting, and they could do it in the same way that they're doing. Shadow
the same way.
Yeah,
Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah, Shadow of Mordor. Yep. Or like no, but seriously, on that same note though, like Elite Beat Agents. No pun intended. Elite Beat Agents. In Japan,
did you say on that same token?
I said on that token, but I corrected myself, say on that note, and then I realized I was gonna say by that token, and I said on that note. But no, that would have been even better if I said token. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because
I was saying note because music. Anyway, the Elite Beat Agent origin games. Like Elite Beat Agents was an Americanized version of two Japanese games called Osu something. Those could come over. That'd
literally
cool.
That.
Yeah, Osu something. Yeah, and it's fun because that extra I wrote, the whole point of it, and I'll link. We'll have the link in the blog post for this episode for everyone who wants to go read my flowery prose of 2013. But in it, I also mentioned Tomodachi Connection, which did eventually come stateside a few years later, and that was kind of like in the same vein as some of the other ones. So it's not like Nintendo's opposed to it. And if Fire Emblem works, maybe some of these could happen. I think realistically, I would assume they're going to do it with franchises that have history here in the States. So, like, the Elite Beat Agents ones, your Rhythm Heaven one's a good example because they never quite give up on Rhythm Heaven. The other stuff I was saying is, like, there's no way at all that we're ever going to get Captain Rainbow as much as I may want it. But one I think is kind of plausible, something that I'd very much like to see is Pokemon Trading Card Game 2.
Never
so I
happened.
learned... I don't know. So I learned fairly recently. No, it's of course not. I learned very recently that there was a second Game Boy Pokemon trading card game that actually included like a real story. You had like a Team Rocket type enemy. There were more cards. It's a bigger open world. I guess before I go too deep there, did either of you ever play the original on Game Boy Color? Like, can you relate to how into this idea I am, or am I sounding super crazy right now?
You're sounding crazy. I already didn't have a lot of interest in the card game because it didn't replicate the experience of playing Pokemon to my liking. So a Game Boy version seemed like an even worse version of that.
And Kevin, I'm guessing you didn't play it either.
Nope.
Yeah, so let me set the scene here. I was at my peak Pokeholic state.
Pokemon Blue on Game Boy.
So I was at my peak Pokeholic state, and anything Pokemon put out I would be into, and I actually really did enjoy the first game. Like, it had all the cards right there. You can play it constantly. You don't have to, like, I was in a Pokemon card game league with my friend at our local comic book shop. That was once a week, and like we could play against each other. But yep, I have no shame.
I'm kidding.
I have no shame. But yeah, so having like this accessible way to play the card game with cards I don't own and have it, be kind of through like a bit of an RPG structure, like that was really awesome. And the structure, to be fair, was pretty loose. Like, you literally were just trying to beat other trainers. They were called like Great Masters or Grandmasters or something like that. You just had to beat them all. But the gameplay was good. I liked it. And I feel like if they were to, I mean, this is just a pipe dream now, but honestly, like if they brought over the sequel, like it really feels like the perfect follow-up to what Nintendo's doing with Fire Emblem. Because like right now, the card game is actually surprisingly popular in like a nostalgic sense. Like there's all these stories of older Pokemon cards like going for a lot of money. Like the rapper Logic, or I guess he's now a former rapper. He's now a Twitch streamer, if I'm not mistaken. He bought an original Charizard card.
Oh, a rapper named Logic. I thought you meant like rapper Logic. Someone like, what is?
Oh yeah, so rapper Logic says that you should get Pokemon cards. No, the rapper Logic, or former rapper, as I started to say, he bought a Charizard card for $250,000. And then, as much as I hate to reference this guy, like I really don't want to, but Logan Paul has been doing a series of videos on YouTube about all these super expensive Pokemon cards he's collecting. $150,000 Charizard, a $200,000 box of first editions. And like, I don't know if it's 90s nostalgia, like combined with Pokemon's resurgence these past few years or what, but like Pokemon cards are kind of creeping back into the zeitgeist right now, especially like the early days of Pokemon cards. So if Nintendo were to want to recreate the Fire Emblem thing, like if it works, maybe without the time limit, but if it works, like a Pokemon card game sequel would be pretty cool. Like they could package in some classic and exclusive cards, they could throw in some throwback stuff like the old playmat, sell it for $50, and the fact that it is an older game and it's referencing the older games lets them kind of, in the same way Fire Emblem writes off how the series has progressed since by just going, oh yeah, look, I'm from the 80s. They could do that with this, and I guarantee it would do at least decently. Like I think there is some market for that. So that's my dream. When I saw Fire Emblem, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Maybe I'll buy that. And then I was like, wait, but Pokemon. And I think I'm just going to have to sell Fire Emblem, honestly. But that's what I'm hoping. But pipe dream aside,
are you actually going to
do I still sound crazy? What?
Are you actually going to play this Fire Emblem re-release?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't even decided for sure if I'm going to buy it. I probably will. But I really like the collector set. I'm in for it for that. But honestly, like one of the things that I found with Fire Emblem was I was getting kind of tired. I know they're not the same, but it started to feel a little redundant after a while, even though there's so many different entries with so many different like quirks to it. It just like the core gameplay is just kind of like, oh, okay. Like personally, I'd prefer Advance Wars. Like I want them to bring back Advance Wars. But that's a whole nother story. But
like Pokemon.
the thing with Shadow Dragon and the whatever the name is that it's stripped down. It's simplified. So I feel like that might actually get me more in because it's more like casual. Like the other one is just like, this is a lot, and I keep having to redo this whole system over and over. It just feels like so much every time. So like if this one has kind of a light airiness to it, it would be kind of a nice way to ease back into Fire Emblem for me. But I don't actually know if I'm going to go buy the collection.
Wait, you were once really into Fire Emblem?
I bought like all the 3DS ones.
And you played how much?
I played a good amount of Awakening. Not as much as you, I'm sure. But I went further in Awakening than I expected. And I actually really liked Echoes, where it had the little 3D dungeon walk-around segments. Like, I surprisingly enjoyed that. But the thing was, it kept I feel like they just kept layering stuff, which is great if you're a huge JRPG strategy fan. But I always, like I was saying, kind of preferred Advance Wars is kind of like the more straightforward version of Fire Emblem all along. And I always really liked Advance Wars. So as it started to get more in depth, I started to kind of balk at it and back off a little.
Did you ever get Wargroove?
I never did get Wargroove. No. I think once Wargroove started adding animals, I'm like, oh, what? Because I just wanted Advance Wars ripoff. I was looking at Tiny Metal at one point, because that was straight up an Advance Wars ripoff, but kind of 3D. But yeah, I didn't even pull the trigger on that one. So, yeah. But
what do you know?
I will say one nice thing about what they're doing with Fire Emblem, and it's also kind of a sign in general, is Nintendo's they're really re-embracing physical items again. It's kind of nice. I mean, they did it. They've been doing it with collector sets pretty consistently, but they're moving back towards physical prizes for things like My Nintendo and for in-game events and that sort of thing. I mean, I don't know if did you guys see those Mario Anniversary coins they're issuing for some of their in-game Switch events coming up?
Mm-hmm.
Well, for those who haven't that are listening, we'll link to them on the blog post, but they're really nice. They're these gold coins. There's one for Smash, one for Splatoon, one for Mario Maker 2, and only the top players in specific events in those games will get them. So I think in Mario Maker 2's case, it's a Ninja speedrun challenge. I think it's only available. I think it's the weekend of Hyrule Warriors coming out, actually. I think it's that week into Thanksgiving. And the top 35 players will get that coin. And if you're not in those top 35, sorry, you're not going to get it. But between that and that, which means I'm never going to get any of them. But between that and the Mario 35th anniversary pin set and the return of actual physical prizes in My Nintendo,
albeit that great ones, but
it's is there anything in that actually has caught your eye? I think the Tom Nook keychain's not bad.
No.
Nope.
I do think some of it comes off a little cheap, which I think is what you're kind of getting at, Angel. The postcards for Splatoon or the Paper Mario origami sheets.
Yeah, because even the not expensive stuff in the old Club Nintendo, everything still felt premium, or it felt even the simple stuff, the Wii socks, the Wii remote holders. Even though
the little Wii remote bin thing? Yeah.
Even though they were basic as heck, they were still... I don't know why they seemed interesting. I didn't get one because I decided to just save the money for something else. But yeah, I don't know. The stuff coming out right here seems like stuff that you could just find at a NOS.
I think it's fine because it's Nintendo sort of ran to a little problem because one, they're licensing their stuff out more. So in the original My Nintendo days or Club Nintendo days, all this stuff, it was a little more premium, but also there just wasn't merch with these characters so readily available. So now they're bringing it back, but now it's everywhere, and that means they have to step their game up if they're going to charge 800 coins for a Tom Nook keychain that's the size of your pinky finger. So, but I do think it's moving in the right direction. They set up the infrastructure to be able to ship these out again, which is good. And the Mario pin set actually looks a lot nicer than I thought it would. It comes in a nice little box and everything. That looks a bit more premium. But I think it's what I really want them to do is take the quality of the merch from Super Nintendo World, but have Nintendo design it themselves. I don't know if you guys saw that they opened... So Super Nintendo World isn't opening in Universal Studios Japan until next year, but they opened a stopgap thing. It's called the Mario Cafe and Shop. It looks pretty cool. It's a restaurant that serves Mario-themed drinks and has these pancake sandwiches that look like Mario and Luigi's hat. And there's it's all decorated with coins hanging from the ceiling and neon piranha plants on the wall, and it looks really cool. And the cups are cool because when you drink out of the straw, there's a mustache on the straw that lines up with your face, so you look like Mario. But as cool as that is, the merch is all high quality, but it's all over the place in design. I mean, some of it's legit. The straws are not bad. They have Mario and Luigi hats you can buy, full on hats, which I imagine once the park opens proper, they'll probably be as ubiquitous inside Super Nintendo World as like mouse ears are at Disneyland. But for some reason, like, I don't know who's designing the merch, but there's a bunch of stuff that just seems to be centered around the tagline, "Whose cap?" As in, like, whose hat is that? Which is, you know, it has a big M on it or a big L on it. And there's not like a Nintendoism of whose cap is that? Or like, you know, I guess they're trying to have it be like, it's a me, but the opposite. Like, I don't really know, but it makes it really weird because all the merch says, it's like the hat, it says whose cap or Mario's face would be, and it has a mustache under it. And they have it on like shirts and hoodies and earrings and keychains. And it's just like, you have such cool designs, except why does it say that weird sentence in the middle? It just drives me crazy. And then they have like odd stuff, like you can get a drink that comes in a mushroom, like super mushroom, but when you unscrew the mushroom to use the reusable cup, they didn't really think through what do you do, where's the thermos hidden, so to speak. Like the mushroom hat's on it, but like where's it, like how do you get the shape of the mushroom but also have it be a big bowl shaped thing to hold liquid? So when you open it, it just looks like the mushroom got Photoshop stretched super tall. Like it doesn't look real. It looks like counterfeit. But the quality of it's like good plastic, and the shirts are like good quality. So like if Nintendo could just like take Universal's production line and design the things and put them on my Nintendo, I guess that's what I'm looking for. I don't know. Yeah, I'm done ranting now. So I guess we can move on to
dreaming.
I guess we can move on to the next thing, unless you guys had any thoughts on that. Any of that. I just went off.
Honestly, not a particular. Like, I saw the stuff, but actually, no, I didn't see all the stuff. I only saw an image that just had the hat sandwiches you mentioned. Mm-hmm. And I'm still like, I'm seeing what's being posted by Nintendo, but only on a surface level. Like, I'm not really clicking any links. I'm just like, oh, wait.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I only looked at the cafe stuff because that
I stopped after I saw everything.
Listen. I told myself I'd stop, but it's just, you know, it's like a drug. No, apparently the cafe's temporary, so I'm like, all right, fine. This is a short term thing. I'm never gonna see it in person. It is what it is. But I've definitely stopped looking at leaks of Super Nintendo World. I've stopped looking. Oh, right, I'll will it into staying longer. No, but I stopped looking at leaks of Super Nintendo World. I stopped looking at videos of it being built. I stopped looking at a whole bunch of stuff because it got really detailed. And I'm just like, you know what? Like, I want some surprise and some of that magic when I get, like, that Disneyland magic. Like, when you know, I barely have looked at stuff about Galaxy's Edge because I'm just waiting once COVID's over to finally go to Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland and just experience it firsthand. And not know, well, there's this ride and there's this cantina and this robot rolls this way or whatever. Like, I kind of want the surprise of it because I think it'll just make it that much better. So I'm trying to do the same with Super Nintendo World. It's a little harder, though, because it's Nintendo. But, you know. Speaking of Disney, I guess I now have a transition. I didn't have one initially there. Kevin, you just tried out something that's very Disney, right? The upcoming Kingdom Hearts Memory of Melody demo.
Oh!
It's only 50% Disney, isn't it?
Just when I thought it was out.
You're back in. You mean of the Kingdom Hearts world, right? Or do you mean this podcast? Or both. Or both. No. Or just don't answer.
He's pleading the fifth.
Yeah, plead the fifth on that one. But yeah, this is the theater rhythm of Kingdom Hearts, essentially, right?
Yeah, so it's a rhythm game. I guess I gotta get this off my chest. This game is somehow canon. Like, oh god, dude. Because apparently
I almost choked on my water the way the agony in your voice as you said it.
Like, apparently it's a retelling of every Kingdom Hearts game up to this point, as told by Kairi, the main female protagonist of the series, which is whatever. They didn't have to make this game canon, but Nomura, that crazy bastard, he found a way to shove this game into the timeline. And bet your ass that when Kingdom Hearts 4 comes out, you will have to have played this game for Kingdom Hearts 4 to make sense. I'm done.
I'm sure.
Okay, anyways, so back to the actual game.
But is it like enjoyable to play? Like, if you have to go through this act, will you at least enjoy the process?
Okay, so yeah, I guess let's get to the game part. So it's a rhythm game, in the same vein as, like, I don't know if either of you ever played Amplitude on the PS2. It's sort of the spiritual predecessor to like the Guitar Hero games or
I
the Guitar Mania games.
I played a game. I think it was Rock Band on the PSP that people
yes,
said is
Rock
pretty
Band
much just
Unplugged.
Amplitude.
Yeah, Rock Band Unplugged. That's a rhythm game right
That
there.
was a really fun game.
That's a really good game. But this one's a much more simplified version of that. So it's basically Amplitude, but with like a Kingdom Hearts skin. So the demo has 4 tracks, 2 from the first game, 1 from Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, and 1 track from Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage.
God, these names.
Yeah. So basically, it just gives you the option to choose between 4 of those tracks. Once you choose the track and the difficulty level, which there are 3 of, you go into the stages where you have Sora, Donald, and Goofy like essentially running down a highway. So imagine Donald, or I guess from left to right, Donald, Sora, and Goofy being, what were the 3 buttons on Guitar Hero? It was green, red, yellow. I think that was the order. Green, red, yellow. Yeah. So imagine
and blue was the 4th. Yeah.
Yeah, blue was the 4th, and orange was the last one. So imagine them being the green, red, and yellow button of the Guitar Hero games. Coming down the highway are the Heartless, the antagonists of the Kingdom Hearts games. And just like Guitar Hero or Rock Band, once the Heartless make it to the end, you either got to press A, L, or R to attack them, which sort of makes this game easy in a sense, in that even though Donald is to your left, you don't have to press the left shoulder button. You could just press A, and he will attack. And same goes for Goofy. He's on your right side, but you don't have to press the right shoulder button. You could just press A. You could press the left shoulder button, and he'll just attack.
Wait, so any button does it?
Yeah, any button will do it.
That seems okay.
So, and like you've got to time it right, obviously, to maximize your score. And if you're too early or you're too late, you'll get hit by the Heartless, and it'll deplete your health bar. And it's game over once that's depleted. Aside from attacking, you also have to dodge projectiles that are thrown in Sora's path, and so you'll just jump. And some enemies will be like flying enemies, so you'll have to jump and attack them. And then there are some enemies that have to be killed simultaneously, and that's when you're going to have to press the shoulder buttons and A at the same time. Sometimes that'll happen. But where the issue for me lies is that, I don't know if you guys have seen videos of this, but the perspective of the characters and the enemies are sometimes skewed in a way that will just throw off my timing completely. Because they'll either look too far away from Sora and company, so I'll like press A too early and then get hit. But like not only that, but the like runway, the track, whatever you want to call it, is so thin, and it'll clutter up the track with enemies, and then my timing will be off again. What'll help for sure is knowing the songs, because I was able to do the 2 tracks from Kingdom Hearts 1 on the hardest difficulty and get an A grade on both of them. But the other 2 I have, those aren't memorable at all, so I failed those pretty quick. But
that's what always seems to be like what's the word I'm looking, the crux of some of these RPG rhythm games, that they only have like, obviously this isn't true for all of them, but the few that I played, actually the one I played the one that I played, Theater Rhythm, like the 4 songs that I really, really like are also the only ones I know.
Right.
So, but there's like almost like 100 songs in there. So
yeah, this one's going to have 140.
140? Good
Yeah.
God,
Oh my
that's
gosh.
a lot.
And like
I just know Simple and Clean, and that's it.
Yeah,
that
and
in there?
like
That
as
has to
a
be in.
well, I mean, it's not a demo, but like as a Kingdom Hearts fan, I can maybe say like 20 of them are going to be like are going to be memorizable, like classic, like Simple and Clean,
The Little Mermaid song.
sure. The
I know it's not from the movie. It's
dearly
like
the theme
original
song,
one or something.
or not the theme song, but I guess the main theme of Kingdom Hearts, Dearly Beloved. I'm sure that'll be in there, and so those are classics. But yeah, those other 2, especially from zero point 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage, I will never know that song. I barely played that game.
Right.
But honestly, at the end of the day, I don't know if I'm going to be picking this up, honestly. Something about the presentation of like I said, that runway. Like, I mean, the game looks nice. It's packaged very, very nice. I think it's neat that instead of like these buttons, you got Sora, Donald, and Goofy running down the track. But somehow, like, it looks like they're walking. So by them walking, obviously you can't have like a super fast track speeding down. So it just forces the track to like slow. So then you'll have a row of enemies coming up, but I won't know how fast I'm supposed to hit the attack button if I don't know the song. It's
right.
With some minor tuning, I'm sure I'd have no problem. But this is a demo at the end of the day, and maybe with trial and error and what I assume will be a steady difficulty curve, this might not even be an issue in the full game. I mean, I don't know. I love rhythm games. I love Guitar Hero. I love Rock Band. The OGs will remember like Tap Tap Revolution on the iPhone 3G.
Yeah. Oh
but
yeah.
I don't know with this game.
And iPod Touch.
Yeah. I'm just mad with this game, honestly. And I think something that contributes to that is also just I'm so fatigued after Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, the only thing that'll get me back is if Kingdom Hearts 4 or whatever the next phase of Kingdom Hearts, Phase 2, as Tetsuya Nomura called it. We are in Phase 2 of Kingdom Hearts. The MCU did 3 phases from 2008 to what, 2019? Endgame came out last year or 2018?
Yeah.
They went through 3 phases.
19.
Kingdom Hearts 1 came out like in 2004. And it barely ended their first phase 2 years ago. An unsatisfactory note, I might add.
You'll get the big finale of Phase 3, Avengers style, when you're in a retirement home in your 80s. So sit tight. It's coming.
I'm going to be so... if I'm on my deathbed and I haven't finished this story... if I haven't finished the story of Sora, I will... Nomura is going to feel my wrath in the afterlife.
I mean, let me ask this, though. Did Kingdom Hearts 1 end on a cliffhanger?
Yes.
Ah, dude.
Mm-hmm. I mean, not a cliffhanger, but it left it very open to... Okay, spoiler alert for Kingdom Hearts 1. He has 2 friends, Kairi and Riku, and Kairi is like saved at the end, but you still got to find Riku, and that's what leads into the GBA game. And I'm not getting into this.
So you're saying you definitely don't get a complete story, or as complete as
he has no closure. He has no closure.
Yeah, because I mean, like a lot of stories are in one way or another open. I mean. One could say, I would say Toy Story 4 had a closed ending, or even Toy Story 3 had a closed ending, but you could also argue, well, the stories keep going. You don't know what happened the week after. It's like, well, okay. But, so, like, I'm just wondering, like, if they actually had, like, and they lived on their island happily ever after, but you said Riku, I guess you still have to find them.
Okay, spoiler.
So at the end of part 2, like, do any of them have a closing, but
I guess Kingdom Hearts 2 is the closest one. Okay, spoilers from here on out for the entire Kingdom Hearts series. At the end, at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, Sora, Kairi, and Riku are back together on Destiny Island, which is their home. And then they get a note from Mickey saying, "Hey fellas, we need your help." And so that's like it should be Phase 3 by this point, but no, we're still in Phase 1. Kingdom Hearts 3 ends with Sora essentially dying, and like how are you? I almost cursed there. How are you going to end it there? but then no, we can't have that.
Wait, didn't he die in one of the other ones where he gave up his heart or something to save Kairi? Or
I guess technically, no. That was the end of the first one. But like, no, he's actually dead because at the secret ending to Kingdom Hearts 3 is he's in real life Shibuya from The World Ends With You.
Oh, that's right. Jeez.
Oh, right. You did mention that before. I don't know why you're surprised that the game franchise that can't count its sequels correctly can't figure out phases either. And also can't name things either. Like, why is any of this shocking to you?
I don't know.
I think that this is the problem
Every now
with
and then I
like,
think like Nomura will get his stuff together. Like Final Fantasy VII Remake. Oh well, that's a whole different can of worms. Now that I think about it, I don't know what. I just set myself up for disappointment with this series.
I think it's just Square Enix, really. It's not.
It could also be the
it's
director.
Nomura. It's Tetsuya Nomura. It's the creator of Kingdom Hearts.
Because it sounds like this series could have had a nice tight ending, but I guess he just kept taking a long time between each sequel. But I guess, I don't know, maybe it was Square Enix or him.
It's that
was getting pressure to like release another game, that they're like, well, we're not ready to release another game, so I guess they just have to keep padding the story essentially. And
it's that he takes too long. He takes too long in between games, and in between those games, he'll make smaller games that will add just way too much lore to comprehend. He will add lore to like 5 to a game. Like he'll add lore to Kingdom Hearts 1, even though you're in the 6th game into the series, and we will add way too much of it, and he doesn't know when to stop. Final Fantasy VII Remake was in the right direction.
You may be buying Memory of Melody.
No, I'm not going to buy Kingdom Hearts 1.
Well, since Memory of Melody is just a recap episode, essentially, does that mean I guess we could probably just play that and not play anything else, and we'll kind of get the gist of it?
But you'll miss so much of the lore.
Oh, absolutely not. There was a where is it? He said something about this game where where is it? The news story was not meant to advance things significantly, but the fact that it does at all is just insane. And then somebody else said,
"What?
It will still feature hints about what's coming next." Why? It's a rhythm game.
Well,
that's
how you sell games. That's how you sell games. Oh, you'll get Kingdom Hearts 4, which you won't see for 10 years, so you gotta buy this.
It's funny because I feel like most of the time people look forward to sequels and franchises they like, but I feel like most Kingdom Hearts fans that I know tend to dread, or I mean, maybe not dread.
No. We dread it whenever a new game is
like, how are they gonna expand it this time, essentially?
Well, it's kind of one of those things that probably when you sign up for it, it sounds so innocent of a story. Oh yeah, it's an RPG, but it's also Disney, so it's combining these worlds I like. Oh, Disney, and then they just keep
RPG,
and they keep going. Well, what about this story? You're like, I guess I can invest my time into that, and then it keeps building outward like this giant ripple. I imagine that's what you're going through essentially. Like every time they add one, you're just like, I'm already this far in. I have to keep going.
There's a great picture where it has the cover art to 3 games in a row, and under the cover art for Kingdom Hearts 1, it's like a fun little action RPG set to like Disney Worlds. And then it goes to the GBA game, and it said, okay, here's a little bit of lore. And then Kingdom Hearts 2, hey, does anybody else in this room smoke weed? Like, because that's exactly what it is. Tetsuya Nomura got high as hell, and then that's how he comes up with the lore. That's the only way that I can explain it. I'm done.
Yeah,
that's my melody of memory impressions, everybody.
All right. Well, I'm not even going to try to segue that. Angel, free-to-play game, Spellbreak. You played it. How is it? There's no transition here.
Yeah, I briefly played this game. I mean, it was free. That was kind of the main reason. Well, actually, I think it was I had just finished building my computer, so I just wanted to play something with my brother, and I ended up playing with him and another friend, and it's fun. I mean, when you look at it, honestly, the whole time I thought it was made by Epic, right? That's the Fortnite people?
Yeah, that's the Fortnite people.
Yeah, I thought it was made by the Fortnite people because the menu, the way I guess the UI for the main menu, the way the game is presented and set up, everything is literally Fortnite. You have your character profile or your character models like in the main menu. You're kind of waiting for your team to populate, and they just stand next to each other. And then before the game starts, you're just like in this big room or this big area with all the other players. And then all of a sudden, after a countdown, you're all in the sky because you got dropped. And you pick, I guess, the zone, the area kind of where you want to fall. And then you kind of start diving towards it. And before you know it, it's a battle royale. And just like in Fortnite, you also have the storm cloud. I forgot its actual name, but it's essentially the barrier that closes in on you as time goes on. Mm-hmm. That if you stay behind it, you end up losing health and you will die. And the idea is you want to be the last team surviving. So everything about that is identical. But where it separates itself is, I guess, in the actual gameplay, which I personally find way more interesting. Well, yeah, way more interesting and just more fun than Fortnite. Maybe because I'm just not that great at the crafting and building part, but I feel that part, I don't know, adds too much pressure because you just have to be, maybe also just seeing what people can do, like how fast they build, and it's kind of nuts. It's just, I don't know, it feels like too much time, and it's also like, it doesn't become that fun immediately. It becomes more fun, I guess, the better you get. This game, Spellbreak, at least, was fun to move around and just literally just move around. It was just fun to play the game, whether I was doing better or not from the very beginning. Because essentially, what I said apart is that you're all wizards, essentially. And right out from the gate, you pick a primary element or a primary weapon and a secondary weapon. So let's say I want my primary arm to be electricity. And your secondary arm, you're just going to have to find out in the open. So let's say you pick the electrical trait. You will have some other like characteristics of the electrical trait and like a very big powerful move that you only get if you pick it as your primary class. And as you're out in the field exploring and running around, you'll sometimes find other arms that you can use in your left hand that will give you, let's say, the fire ability. But it won't be as powerful as if you had picked it for your primary ability. So that's kind of how they encourage you to mix and match. But the cool thing is that if you use like a powered up electric move or fire move, you could mix it up with your other hand. So you could create a combination of fire and electricity, or with whatever your teammates have, which I think it goes from like, I think there's rock powers, electricity, wind, fire. I think there's poison. It's like gas clouds and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like that is pretty fun. And then besides that, everyone has essentially everyone could kind of fly and glide. You basically have a double jump, but the double jump is more like you jump with, let's say, spacebar. And while you're in the air, every time you press spacebar, you ascend. And it's only as long as you have your meter is full. So you could just straight up hold the spacebar and you'll go up really, really high because you're basically flying. And then once it runs out, you'll start going down. But you fall faster than you gain meters. So while you can essentially let go of the spacebar, let yourself fall a little, and then press it again to start floating again, you will hit the ground eventually. But just like having that as your maneuverability just makes it really fun. And then there's also, scattered throughout the world, you'll find emblems that give you special abilities. Like some will give you the ability to essentially, because that flying ability that I mentioned isn't that fast. Like it's just a good way to jump around and just gain altitude, but it's probably not much faster than your actual running. But there's an ability that straight up lets you like soar through the air for a couple seconds, like a little mini jet. And there's others that turn you invisible. There's others that give you a crazy fast sprint. Like it feels like just crazy wizard battles essentially. But because it's also it's a third person shooter, but I mean same first person controls, at least on the mouse and keyboard, which is how I was playing.
It is on Switch for anyone that's confused about how you're describing it. It is on Switch. You just play it on PC.
No, yeah, it is on Switch. It's the exact same thing. Yeah, at least like the mouse and keyboard, like I know it's definitely more accurate, but I tend to be, at least when playing with PvP games, I don't know, I always overextend overextend my aim, and I'm just bad at it, I guess. And yeah, so while I didn't do very well, I just still had a lot of fun with the game just because the mechanics are just really fun. I just love the idea of essentially having superpowers because it's pretty much what it is. And just the mixing and matching of different elements with you, with yourself, with your partner, finding these things on the field. And the battles are so cool. Like, it's just a really cool thing. Like, suddenly a giant storm cloud appears or a giant tornado, and then there's like a wall of fire, and then like the giant boulders flying towards you. Like, it's just visually really interesting. And it's not even made by Epic. It's like made by some completely different company, but still.
It's visually interesting. It's not even Epic.
Yeah, just because it has so much of its DNA, it feels like it was literally like, hey, what if we took Fortnite and just made it Wizards? But
which is basically the pitch of the game. That's the elevator pitch of the game for sure.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that caught my attention about it, though, is it is more than just Fortnite with Wizards. Like, they came out with an update this week that they're adding. So I guess there's two parts. So there's like a multiplayer mode which replaces the last man standing motif with team-based battles where you actually respawn and it's the first team to get 50 eliminations that wins. And then there's the single player mode, which isn't just like, you complete things and you have challenges you have to do like most free-to-play games, but actually has like chapters and you progress through them like kind of like an MMO style, which like both of those seem like a notch above cool. Fortnite in terms of like they're doing the standard free-to-play thing, but then they're also introducing like a more traditional linear single player thing and a more traditional paid for multiplayer experience, but they're all
something
still
like that is kind of cool just because it's a great way to learn the game. I mean, I feel like any kind of, it also just gives you more incentive. I mean, yeah, you can learn the game just from playing it, but I typically like to play a game in a controlled environment first for a while before I feel comfortable jumping online. Mm-hmm. But Fortnite doesn't really give you that option from what I remember, at least like the last time I played it.
They do have like they do have a creative mode where you can practice like your building and stuff like that.
True. And now they have like the party island or whatever it's called where you can just run around and get a hang of it. But I think to Angel's point though, it's still like kind of freeform. It's like it's a structured way.
Like I want I would like a structured thing. Like, I mean, every game has like a training mode.
I mean, technically Fortnite does have Save the World.
Oh, that's right.
True.
The actual namesake.
Not on Switch. Yeah. Not on Switch.
Save the World's not on Switch?
I think it's only Battle Royale on Switch.
I'm pretty sure, it's only Battle Royale.
Yeah.
Just forgot what I said.
But yeah, it's it's kind of cool to see different games taking a stab at the format in different ways. Like I do like you were saying, it is Magic Fortnite basically, but it's cool that they're layering stuff. And I think that the other thing, I don't know if you had anything else to say about Spellbreak before I launch into what I was about to say.
No, not really.
Okay,
I mean, it's worth a try. I mean, it's free. You literally have nothing to lose, and I guess except your time. But I think it's worth checking out just because it's different enough from Fortnite, controls wise, not really set up. But once you play it, it does end up feeling a lot more different from Fortnite. You kind of forget about all those similarities.
Right.
But,
yeah, I think, but beyond just the game itself, I think what's interesting about Spellbreak and why, like, when you mentioned you play, I'm like, oh, we should definitely talk about a podcast, is, like, it's also a really good representation of, like, a whole side of the Switch game library that we don't really ever talk about being a thing. And that's just, like, the sheer number of free-to-play games available on Switch and how many people actually play them. Like, Spellbreak, it racked up over 2 million players in its first week, and now it has over 5 million players after 3 weeks. And, like, to be clear, it's across, all formats, but when you've got a cross-platform release like Spellbreak, there's a pretty healthy number of people that are playing it on Switch, most likely, and 5 million in 3 weeks is like, no time at all. And anyone who listens to our show, like, they know we spend so much time talking about the Switch's big, heavy hitters and how well they perform. And, we highlight the NPD charts every month and discuss how various Nintendo releases do. Like, I told you it was coming, but, like, right now I could launch into something about, like, hey, Super Mario 3D All-Stars, big hit for Nintendo. Number 2 on the September overall top 10 chart. It bested Square Enix's Avengers, which it was number 1, but that's off combined physical and digital sales versus Mario just being physical. Anyway, point is, 3D All-Stars, according to leaks, it sold 1.17 million copies in those couple weeks is on the chart. And, that, don't get me wrong, is a lot of copies. And if you factor in, like, digital sales, which aren't tracked by NPD, it surely passes the debut of every other 3D Mario release ever, including Odyssey and Galaxy. And even if you don't factor in digital, it still means that 3D All-Stars on its own was the 6th highest revenue generating launch of any physical Nintendo release in NPD history since 1995 or so. And that's a very big story. And it's one that I'm sure can spawn all sorts of conversations about, whether the success of the compilation gives Nintendo the green light for more quick and dirty ports. If we're going to see more stuff like what we were talking about with Fire Emblem. If, Angel, your theory about, like, are they going to do N64 ports? Like, are they going to, or a collection? Are they going to do that if Mario 3D All-Stars is the 6th highest revenue generating game they've had in ever? Like, there's all those conversations. But the point I'm trying to make here is, like, that was, just one game. The Switch has been the top-selling console on the NPD charts for 22 months in a row now, including this past month. That's 1 month shy of Xbox 360's all-time record. And in those 22 months, we saw the standbys, Animal Crossing, Mario Kart, and, both were in the top 10. Smash, Zelda, Mario U, Deluxe, even Odyssey, like those this past month were all in the top 20. But that's not all people are playing. It's like, it's what we talk about. It's what the Switch is positioned to be about. But at the same time that all those things are happening on the chart, you got Spellbound getting 5 million people. There's this whole other world of Switch games that are generating massive numbers, like Pokemon Cafe Mix, 5 million downloads in 2 months. Ninjala, 4 million downloads in 6 weeks. Within a day of going free to play, Rocket League had 1 million new players, or 1 million total players active, or something like that. So, like, obviously some of these games are multi-platform and others aren't, but I guess my point is, and why I'm going on this little rant, is we cover what's hot on Switch in such a skewed way towards what the chart tells us is hot, a chart that's based on full purchases and retail, which is why, like Fortnite never shows up there. And it's based on what publishers are willing to share, which is why Nintendo's numbers never have digital attached. But in reality, there's like this other side of the Switch library that generates a ton of play that isn't really talked about. I mean, we have a friend who plays Asphalt 9 Legends every day, and he's not alone in that. I don't know how many people play it, but like, it's a year after launch and they're still putting out a new map and they're still putting out 10 cars in that game as of like last week. So like it still has attention. And it's the story with like so many different games that I went and actually counted how many free to play games are on Switch, because, something like Spellbreak, unless we sort of shoehorned it into the podcast, wasn't going to come up. And there are literally 40 free to play games available for Switch right now. And a lot of them are heavy hitters. 40. And they're over 40. It's a lot when you think about, we got the heavy hitters like Fortnite.
I guess 40 qualities, right? 40 qualities.
Just 40 total. But a lot of them are but a lot of them are heavy hitters. I mean, Fortnite, Paladins, Smite, Arena of Valor, soon Apex Legends. The Switch version was just rated by the ESRB the other day. Warframe, Dauntless, DC Universe Online, Real Royale, Rogue Company, Warface, World of Tanks, Ninjala. Those are just some of the multiplayer ones. And then if you factor in, Fallout Shelter, Pokemon Quest, Asphalt 9, Pokemon Cafe Mix, as we mentioned, Elder Scroll Blades, which we talked about back over the summer, like, it's a lot of games to just kind of completely never talk about. So it's kind of nice that with Spellbound and some of the news that's happened in kind of the lull of Nintendo's news cycle, like, it's nice to actually be able to talk about that a bit. Like, one of the things that came up that I feel like was particularly targeting you, Angel, that we probably wouldn't cover if Nintendo had their regular news cycle, but because Fire Emblem was it.
Ghostbusters and Rocket League.
And, yeah, that's not the one I was going to say, but that's one of them. The other one I was going to say was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Smite. Like, both of these are very much targeting you, I feel like. But, like, these are, it's just like these games are so...
I do like both properties, but
I
haven't played Smite.
Well, are you... Yeah.
I played a lot of Smite a couple of years ago.
How is Smite?
Really?
A lot of Smite, yeah. It was the only MOBA that I got into. Because...
It's
mainly because of the way that it played. It wasn't a top-down, mouse-based MOBA. It was you were actually moving your god with WASD. Like, it felt much, much better to me.
Yeah, you weren't like clicking everywhere to go. It's third person, right? So it actually feels like you're more in the action than
seeing like this battlefield from overhead.
That's honestly what sort of made it more interesting to me than
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that aspect does make it more appealing, and it definitely kind of kept it on my radar. But
at the end of the day, it's still a MOBA.
Jump in.
It's kind of hard to ignore now that I guess the turtles are in it. I don't know. Are they just like skins you buy, or
from my understanding, they are They are skins based on existing characters. So each
Oh,
turtle
yeah,
has a different
'cause,
trait
I mean-
based on a different character. But there's 2 sets of skins, it looks like.
I mean,
There's like a
I mean,
kind of
they're pretty
modernist
much
or
premium
classic.
skins, right?
Yeah, and this is something Smite's done before, from my understanding. They did it with Avatar: The Last Airbender, the whole battle pass. They did it with Bob Ross, apparently. Like, he's a skin on top of a character named Sylvaeus or something, but basically he is riding a tree creature, and he paints the leaves on the tree, and that gets the creature to do attacks. It's really, like, wacky and weird. But yeah, I mean, Kevin, maybe you know better because you actually played Smite. It seems like these weird crossovers are kind of becoming their like hook.
Yeah, like when
I don't know, man.
Avatar-
I said I played that years ago. Not
Oh,
recently.
true, fair.
That was
fair.
definitely before they probably had those crossovers. I do remember. I think the only reason I honestly first heard about this game was because they had a controversy with it. With some of, I mean, it is a game where you are controlling gods from different pantheons, like be it Egyptian, Greek, whatever. And there was like some issue that they had with some cultures were having issue with how they were representing some of their gods, and they had to do a few redesigns. Some thought they were being too sexualized, but they also like showed like their reference, and they were like, oh, actually they were being pretty accurate, but it just wasn't okay for, I guess, the game, or it just wasn't being well received. But I don't know, like, so I thought they were just gonna add like other like Avatar in it, like kind of makes sense to me. Turtles, I mean, it's cool that they're in there out of principle that it's just the Ninja Turtles to me, but it doesn't make me go. It's not like a game. I feel like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like they fit in there because I mean, it's a
They
game.
don't.
Yeah, because I mean, like Bob Ross. I mean, like it's a game about gods fighting gods, and I don't know. It feels weird to have picked the turtles. I feel like they could have picked.
I feel
The
like
turtles have their own pantheon in it, but obviously that's not going to get the same kind of marketing pool that the turtles will get. Like Turtles and Injustice makes sense because that's literally a comic book fighting game, and you have Hellboy and the Turtles and all of DC. But
and I feel like that's kind of the thing with these free to play games is because they're
it
all
feels more shoehorned, I guess. It's like,
yeah, no, and I think that's, I won't say by design, but I think what these games are realizing. I mean, I rattled off a lot of games a minute ago, and a lot of them are very similar. Like, there's at least 2 or 3 MOBAs. There's multiple third-person shooters and multiple first-person shooters. You know, there's all of them are like multiplayer, like head-to-head games. So I think the idea of like borrowing IPs, whether they fit or not, just going with the popular ones and then making it kind of fit or try to fit, seems to be the move to get mindshare. Because if there are all these services and you only have so much time for so many services, you got to like get people in. And then presumably if someone's like, oh, Ninja Turtles, I like those. What's this all about? Maybe at that point, then the gameplay hooks can hook them once they're in already. Like Epic Games is probably the master of this, honestly. Like Fortnite, you know, it's literally a who's who of franchise. It's like one of the only things in the world that has DC and Marvel together side by side. And I'm pretty sure they're just, you know, pandering to every fan base until they get those people hooked and then they move on to the next one. It's even like Rogue Company put Dr. Disrespect from Twitch as like a thing in the game, which is, you know, what's he have to do with it? Nothing really. He's just there because it's a way to get people to play. It's like how Ninja's a skin in Fortnite, kind of. Like, they're just whatever gets people in, you know? Which, to your point, when you mentioned Rocket League as kind of our final topic of this episode, you mentioned the Ghostbusters.
See, that one makes sense.
That Rocket League, I want to give them credit because they're the other like OG of these sorts of massive IP crossovers besides Fortnite. But what Rocket League I feel like does so well, especially with how they do Ghostbusters with the Ecto-1 as a playable car, back for the Halloween event right now. I think they do a really good job because they make it make sense in the game world. Like Smite, like the key point was these Ninja Turtles are layered on top of existing characters, but they're these characters you know. Or like with Fortnite, Kevin, I don't know, like do the characters, those are just skins, right? Like if I'm Wolverine, I don't actually have different abilities. I'm just looking like Wolverine. Yeah.
Yep.
But
like Donatello's like Osiris or something.
Yeah, and like technically Rocket League's the same way, but they're not just copy pasting the character in and kind of making it fit the world. Because everything's cars, they're either bringing in cars that exist as cars, which already handle and behave like cars, or they're doing cars inspired by characters, like how they did the Samus one exclusively for Switch back when that first came out. So, like, I feel like Rocket League.
It was inspired by her vehicle, so.
Well, yeah, her ship, true. But my point is, well, no, one of them's the color of her fusion suit. She has no fusion ship. They're inspired by her.
It's literally called Samus's gunship. car.
Yes, but I'm saying it's her suit and her ship. Anyway, point is, they're not just a copy paste job into a game, whether it makes sense or not. They're actually like, because they're all cars, they have to make them fit. Like it has to make, you know what I mean? Know what I'm trying to say? Like I feel like
and it's
Rocket
funny
League
how
does a
like
good job with
these
it.
cars are like so iconic as cars that they're kind of like their own characters. So like when I saw the review for the Ecto one, I was like, whoa, that looks really cool. Just like when I saw the review for the Jurassic Park Jeep, I mean, that actually got me to buy it. Mm-hmm. And like I'm kind of like bummed I didn't buy the DeLorean that I know like my friend has.
Good news.
It also looks really cool.
Good news. I think because of the free-to-play changeover that Rocket League just went through, they are reintroducing the cars again through the new shop system. So the Ecto 1 has been in the game before, way back when, if I'm not mistaken. And now it's circling back around.
And I mean, it says in their blurb, like, it says like it's the first of the licensed cars being reintroduced to Rocket League. And I mean, and they had so many cool, I mean, they had a couple of different Batmobiles. I think they had the Tumbler and the classic one. Mm-hmm. So... And I mean, and not even just the cars, like the explosion effects, like the T-Rex coming out and like roaring, like it's just super, super awesome. You have the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man slowly walking out.
Right. And for those who haven't played Rocket League, it's when you score the like effect of the ball going in is what he's talking about.
Oh man, or even the Batman one is just like a cloud of bats. Like it just looks really cool.
Yeah, and
but
like
then there was also like some other really cool random ones. Like I don't know, there's like one that I saw the other day with Jason. It was like it looks like a Rubik's Cube that's getting solved and then it just like explodes.
Oh yeah, and all the blocks shoot everywhere. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's like one of the standard. I think it was the 6th Rocket Pass, like the cyberpunkish Blade Runner-esque Battle Pass. I have that one. I have that.
And then there was one that you had that was kind of cool. I don't remember actually. I don't know if this is the one that you had, but essentially when you score a goal, like the goal turns out crystally from the inside out, and then it explodes.
Yeah. But I also had that one.
And like cool. those, it feels like. I don't know, like, obviously skins are just cosmetic too, but these cosmetics seem to make more sense, I guess. Like, I think Rocket League just does it so well. Not to say SMITE isn't doing it well by putting Bob Ross on a walking tree.
If only they let you customize the look of the ball, though. I feel like that's a missed opportunity.
Oh, I'm sure they'll get there. I mean, now that they're free to play, they're going to be making money.
I mean, how can they if, like, you're connecting with, in theory, a bunch of other people? I guess you could...
Well, it could just be what you see on your... Yeah, what you see on your screen. How are you feeling, by the way, Kevin? Because I know you had Rocket Pass and did the thing. How are you feeling?
I thought you were going to say, like, because he probably lost a lot of blood by now. But...
No, but how... Oh, yeah, that too. Have you still okay? You're not bleeding anymore, right?
Yeah, I'm good.
That's good. So how do you feel, now that I've asked that important question, how do you feel about Rocket League being free to play now? Because, like, obviously there's a bit of a shake-up. Like, the menus are a little tweaked, and there's weekly challenges that are more, like, in your face without Rocket Pass. And, like, all these little nips and tucks. But, like, is it much different if you're a Rocket Pass person, or is it more just they brought the Rocket Pass to us non-Rocket Passers?
No idea. I haven't touched that game in forever.
Oh. Because Angel and I played it a couple times since it went free to play, and I feel like the two of us had the assessment of the menus got weird. Like, they're not worse. They're not better.
Well, considering the game came out in, 2016, of course, it's been pretty much the same for these last 4 years up until now. Yeah, but whatever change that they're going to do is going to feel weird.
Yeah, but I mean, like, weird in the sense of, like, they do a weird thing where so whoever's the host of your party can pick the new, match or whatever, but everyone else can go through the menus to pick the match and get as far as selecting the match until it then says only the host can do it. It's like, why even show us that screen? Just, like, say the host is doing it. Like, kind of weird choices like that. Oh, is it that common?
I mean, Apex does that. Fortnite does that. It's nothing new that hasn't been done.
Never mind.
But those games, but to be fair, those games always started out free to play, while this one didn't.
Right. So maybe that's why it feels weird. Yeah, but I think it is nice. Like, Angel, would you say we've had easier times finding matches? Like, there are definitely times we used to match with the same people, and now that it's free to play, I feel like the base is bigger.
That's a good point. I hadn't noticed because I hadn't thought about it, but you're right. We haven't been matched with the same people, and I feel like when we're not having... Well, I the time I played with you guys, we didn't have connection issues, at least, like, not like what it sounded like you guys did last time. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, it does feel like we are finding people a lot faster.
Yeah, it's... I think, like I'm all for anything that opens up a game to a bigger audience, because that means there's more of an active player base, and that means more opportunities, and that if you suck at a game like me, maybe you suck less because there are people who actually suck more. So relatively speaking, you're better now, just by default, and that's a nice feeling. No, but honestly, like it is kind of Rocket League's one of those games. Like I feel like we'll play for a while, we'll just stop, and then we could just jump right back in, and it still feels fresh. Like it doesn't feel, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like, oh, this is old now. Like it's still, they're really good about keeping things going in that game. But anyway, unless you guys had anything else, that kind of does it. Like that's it. That's the show.
I guess I don't. Yeah, I guess that does do it.
What a journey that show was. So many twists and turns without any real structure. But yeah, that was this episode. I mean, and honestly, depending on the news cycle, there may or may not be just as little structure in our next episode. No, we'll have an episode, but in terms of what we talk about or how it's structured, who knows? So we got the next round Nintendo coming your way on November 8th. And then our sub show for all non-Nintendo stuff, the Quarantine Chronicles, that's coming up the weekend before that. So you can expect it on November 1st, just in time to cure your Halloween candy hangover. So make sure you don't miss them. You can subscribe to us on all the various podcast apps known to man and woman, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn. Wow, I never thought I'd do this. Kevin, am I forgetting any? Usually you ask me, but I'm drawing a blank.
TuneIn, iHeartRadio.
Got that one.
Wait, say them again?
Apple Podcasts, Google. Oh, Google. I forgot Google. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Pandora, iHeartRadio. That's about it. Right?
I think that's it.
I think so. We're also on YouTube. RamNintendo.com is our channel name. And if you prefer not to subscribe to us on podcast app, you can just follow us on Twitter, everyone out there, to get the latest on our episodes and whatever other shenanigans we may eventually be up to. Our collective Twitter is @RamNintendo. Our individual Twitters, I am JSR7, Angel is Wero, WEIRO_O. Kevin is KVN Gomi, and that's it. That's the show. So Kevin, final word.
I said this earlier, but put Zagreus in Smash.